WCW Monday Nitro number 196, June 21st, 1999.
Now, this is a very important show. You want to know why? There's only one thing of any value that I'm going to talk about here on this show, okay? So, last week, a Hummer ran into Kevin Nash's limo. Or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, okay? It was a white Hummer. So, yes, it was a white Hummer. That's what I'm getting at.
Yes.
So, this week, a black Hummer shows up.
Yes.
And black Hummers keep showing up. And so now it's like the Bernstein Bears.
I was going to say, yes.
Yes. What do they call it? The Mandela Effect?
That works
now
too, yeah.
Everybody remembers a black Hummer. Who drove the black Hummer? There was no fucking black. It was a white Hummer. But because of this show and every show thereafter, it is getting to people's head that the Hummer was actually black.
So what you're saying is throughout the summer and fall of 1999, Nitro gaslighted us. They told us a lie so often we started to believe it.
Well, I think that they can't remember.
That's also possible.
But so now we're stuck thinking it's a black Hummer.
Well, on this show, it was in fact a black Hummer.
And one other thing. This show opened with a Master P concert, which was edited off Nitro.
Good.
So if you're wondering why the show was shorter,
Yeah.
and you're celebrating that fact,
I was.
You can thank Master P.
I hope he does a concert every week.
So do I. Hope it's a show-long concert next week.
So yes, a black Hummer arrived, out except Randy Savage and his crew. They don't notice a 40-foot limousine pulling up behind them. Time passes. Kevin Nash gets out of the limousine. He runs after the Hummer, which suddenly drives away. I was hoping he would try to keep up with it, but no. We're one segment in, I already have no idea what the hell is going on.
Well, he wants to find out who drove the Hummer, because it tried to kill him. Why is that difficult to figure out?
Why? I don't know.
Why his plan was, I'm going to show up in a 40-foot fucking limousine.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't be seen.
Why not hire a guy to
leap
take
out?
pictures of all the cars that come in and get the license plate? That took me no thought.
Yeah, Vinny, but that's a coward's way to do it. I'm just telling you.
Clips from the pay-per-view. They recap the whole Kurt Hennig angle. It started with him getting an autograph from Master P, but then breaking the CD in front of his face. And then all the bullshit with the Cowboys and the Rappers in the match that evening. Lenny Lane and Lodi did a horrendous promo.
Oh my god, I loved it. It's just fucking ridiculous.
I've never seen two men who can't act like this.
Well, yeah. And they were supposed to act like they were gay.
Yes.
Yeah. A bunch of sexual innuendos.
Double entendres throughout.
Lodi shows
Back
up and
rubs.
rubs his shoulders.
Yeah.
Then he talks about his staying power.
Stamina.
His stamina.
Yeah.
It's preposterous, but I loved it. It's just ridiculous.
I can see this would be in the category of so bad it's good.
Yes.
I can accept that. Psychosis versus Kidman. I don't know if it was just me noticing this or if who was ripping off who here, but Psychosis looked like he had just watched a bunch of Sabu matches right before coming out there. He's doing the Arabian press, does the jumping top rope Rana like Sabu used to do, the spinning kick off the top rope. Kidman did a big dive. The announcers compared him to Vince Carter, who I just want to point out 19 years later, Vince Carter is still playing in the NBA. Which is pretty amazing. So they go to the finish. Kidman goes up for the shooting star press. And Psychosis like half rolls out of the way. Like he just rolls onto his side. But he won't roll away. He won't roll any closer. And finally, Kidman comes down with a stomp. And then Savage and his crew run out for the DQ.
Well, I think what was supposed to happen was...
I assume Savage was late.
Yeah, him and Sid were just taking their sweet-ass time down the aisle.
Yes.
And Kidman looks like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Running DQ in this match. The announcer spent the entire match talking about this fucking Hummer and who might be driving the Hummer. And if you notice, Tony says the first reports we got were that it was a female. So they wanted you to believe that it was Sable, who showed up last week on television. And then, of course, WWE threatened to litigate. Mm-hmm. And so WCW claimed, well, she bought a ticket. We didn't know she was going to be in the front row with security.
Yeah.
Just a coincidence. And then Sable told USA Today that she bought a ticket on her own because she wanted to go to the event and find out if WCW was as raunchy as WWE. It was not, she said. She couldn't watch television.
No.
She had to fly to the town, hire security, get a front row seat, and sit there on camera. So anyway.
I can't blame her. So Sting runs out. Savage and Sid bail before he can get there. And this brings Nash out, and he's all suspicious. How come, Sting, that you were in a black Hummer last week when you beat up Rick Steiner? How come you come down to the ring and Savage and Sid leave before you can lay a finger on him? Sting says, I didn't drive the Hummer. Nash says, I'm not accusing you of anything, but if you did drive that Hummer, you have to deal with me.
I gotta say one other thing about this match here. So, Savage and Sid run in, they beat up the Cruiserweights. And, like, this was a big scandal here in the 90s. These Cruiserweights, they just make them look like geeks. It's very fascinating watching wrestling in 2018 because WWE makes their mid-carders and higher look like far fucking bigger geeks than these guys on a regular basis.
Yes.
How many fucking geeks did we have on that pay-per-view? They made Asuka into a geek. Mm-hmm. Times have changed.
Times have changed. Flair and Piper are hanging out backstage.
This was awesome.
Flair says, we should do Sid and Savage versus Nash and Sting for the next pay-per-view. Piper says, let's do Sid and Sting on TV tonight for free.
You're underselling these two guys being completely out of their minds. We got now Crazy Flair and Crazy Hot Rod. They're going nuts. They're complete clowns. Roddy comes up with the idea of Sting versus Sid, and Flair has a conniption fit. He's never heard such a great idea in his life. I love this segment. I'm liking a lot on this show so far.
We're on a roll. They showed Buff Bagwell pinning Flair in an 8-man tag last week.
That was good.
Lenny Lane versus Ming. Ming's permed mullet was in fine form. So they're doing this match. Lenny goes up top. Ming wasn't down or stunned. He was just in the ring. So as Lenny exits the ring and is climbing, Ming has to look around and just shout and bark like Ming does. And then once Lenny gets up there, Ming walks up. He grabs him by the chin and does a Tongan death grip press slam for the win.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That's all I got out of this.
Yeah, this was just Ming killing the guy. It's probably Lenny's best match ever.
It may have been.
It's not saying much. And Lodi was very sad about all of this.
The announcers recap Sting popping out of the Black Hummer last week. And then Master P and the No Limit Soldiers hit the ring.
This segment. This was horrific.
It was Silk the Shocker's birthday.
Silk the Shocker.
Yes.
That's Master P's little brother.
Yes, and years later he would do MVP's theme song.
Really? I did not know that.
Did,
wow.
yes, yeah.
How about that?
So they decide it's a good idea to grab a fan in an afro wig, have him come in and sing Happy Birthday.
Am I the only one that thought that was Disco Inferno?
I figured it had to be somebody.
Yeah.
Something was going to happen.
It was just a fella.
A fan.
Yeah.
He sang badly and quietly. They all said, Hoody Hoo! Kurt Hennig comes out.
We'll get into Hootie Hoo. Don't worry, Tony.
Yeah, if it makes you laugh.
I did some fucking research.
You're going to enjoy
We'll
this.
get into it.
Kurt Hennig comes out with a gift. And there's 50 guys out there. So clearly he's no threat. They allow him into the ring. Kurt apologizes for dropping the CD at that other show.
Master P has no idea what Kurt Hennig's name is. He just keeps calling him Cowboy.
Cowboy. That's fine. We knew who he's talking about. So he asks if P will accept this gift, and Master P is suspicious, and he says, you open it. And it's a cowboy hat. And I'm pretty sure Kurt called Silk the Shocker Seth. It's just like Seth always wanted.
Yes.
So Silk
maybe that's his real name.
I
doubt his real name is Silk.
Or Shocker.
Or Shocker. It's unlikely.
So Silk takes the hat and he says thank you. Then he stomps on it, and they all throw cake on Kurt, and they all shout Hootie Hoo over and over again.
My fucking God.
And I hated this. I hated this until the end. Because first of all, these guys were assholes. Kurt.
This is the whole key here, okay? WCW, it's not completely stupid to think that the fans are going to like the No Limit Soldiers. They're with Ray and Conan, and they're going to hate Kurt Hennig. And so it is not completely ridiculous to presume that maybe the fans are going to boo Kurt Hennig for presenting Silk the Shocker with a goddamn cowboy hat, okay? So I can't really blame them too much for this, but the way that it came off because the fans hated these fuckers, largely because they kept going, Hootie Hoo! Kurt presents Silk with a custom-made leather cowboy hat.
He got him a gift.
That's a really nice, thoughtful gift.
A sincere gift, a peace offering.
Yes. And Silk even said, I've always wanted one. But then they pour cake all over Kurt. They beat him up like 12-on-1, humiliate him. Ungrateful shitheads, the No Limit soldiers. And then they had to go Hoody Whoo again. If it wasn't bad enough.
When Kurt collects himself and he puts his hat back on, he's outside the ring, and he's facing down, brim down low. He's all flared up, covered in cake. Just covered in cake, solemnly walking up the aisle. I couldn't help but laugh at that. And everyone's going, Hoody Hoo! And Bobby Heenan says, what a party.
Yeah.
I may have given that too much enthusiasm.
Yes, this sucked. This sucked.
Juventud Guerrera versus Eddie Guerrero.
So, 3 weeks ago, Eddie returned. Total babyface on commentary.
Yeah.
The nicest, most humble man you've ever seen. Now he's back, and he's a heel.
Yes.
And he works a long-ass match. Mm-hmm. He's like at, 25% of Eddie Guerrero, which is still 50% better than everybody else.
Yes.
They have a boring-ass match. The crowd's dead. Eddie still looks awesome. And then he wins with the frog splash.
This was awesome for about 3 minutes, but unfortunately it went like 10.
Easy 10.
Yeah. And the crowd, there's a fight in the crowd that people were paying more attention to. Eddie hadn't wrestled in a while, so it's not like he was getting the piss chopped out of him, but he was still all red from Hoovy chops. And Hoovy did do a tope of death at one point, but then Eddie grabbed him by the neck and spun him around, and hit a frog splash for the win. I enjoyed it.
All you need to know is that the next match was Shat versus Prince fucking Aaka. Okay, let me say that again. The Eddie Guerrero match was followed by Shat versus Prince Aaka.
Yes.
There was so much more heat for Shat. He's out there dancing. They're booing him like crazy. They hate the guy. I mean, the match was fucking terrible.
Maybe they knew what was coming.
But dude, Shat got some heat. And he used the loaded red shoe again. At least he didn't fall down this time like an idiot. And you know another positive? We didn't have to listen to Eric Bischoff yell at the announcers about their karate knowledge.
That's true. That's true. There was no Bischoff on this show.
Thank God.
That's excellent news. So we had here a spot where Aaka whips Cat into the ropes, and Cat just stops and super kicks him. Why don't all wrestlers just stop if you can do that then? And just kick the guy.
They don't have his karate balance.
They're brawling. You know what? That's actually a fair point. Yeah. That's a very good explanation. Then they're brawling on the floor, and Cat slams a beer or pours a beer in Aaka's face, and they're trying to do stuff out there, but now there's beer all over the floor. They're slipping all over the place. Cat hits the shoe-assisted kick for the win. Booker T versus Canyon. 15 minutes plus a commercial break, and then DDP and Bam Bam run in for the DQ. Wasted so much of my time. A total waste of time. That's all this was. A long, long waste of time.
I'll rant about this later, but I will say that opens up with Canyon saying, I'm going to beat up Booker T tonight, but I got a question for everybody. Who better than Canyon? Dead silence. He just moves on. He didn't give a shit. Back in the day, he would do that, and they would scream everybody, and he would pitch a fit. Now they just don't even care. And yes, they went on and on and on. I'll give him a little credit. When Booker made his comeback, the crowd came to life. And then, yes, DDP and Bigalow hit the ring for the shit DQ. I was furious at this point. Much more furious than I am right now recapping it.
It was terrible. So they beat up the ref. They hit Booker with a combo diamond cutter onto the belt. Logically, this would lead to Booker finding a partner and challenging for the tag titles, but I have no memory of that happening. I guess we'll see. Flair and Piper and the rest of their crew come out for a promo.
Remember like 4 months ago in 1999 or whatever, or maybe it was mid-98, I don't remember when it was, but maybe it was the summer of 98 when Viagra first came out,
yeah.
And there was a fucking Viagra joke on every show for like 3 weeks.
Yes.
Okay. I've never said this before, but I'm pretty sure that Flair like OD'd on Viagra before this promo. Flair's always talking about chicks riding Space Mountain. Mm-hmm. He couldn't stop.
That's all
he couldn't cut this promo. Every 3 words, he would stop and start calling out some woman or some guy and tell him he was going to fuck his woman.
Yeah.
I mean, nonstop for minutes on end. He couldn't quit. I don't even know what he was talking about here.
Well, I'll talk about Piper first. Piper spoke first and was actually coherent. He's mad about the Y2K kids.
He actually called them the Millennium Kids.
I didn't hear that part. Yeah.
Yeah, he was ahead of the curve.
Roddy Piper
he knew
coined-
what this generation would be called before they were called millennials.
He was sick of Buff Bagwell whining, made fun of his tan. So Gene asks Flair about partying in New Orleans, which is where they were tonight.
I do want to add that Roddy Piper said, Buff, you're a liar. You never beat Ric Flair. Even though, in fact, Buff beat Ric Flair clean in the middle last week.
And
I just loved it.
And they showed us.
These are great heels.
Flair, Piper, I will say this. I've forgotten how awesome Piper as a heel in WCW
Oh,
was.
man, he's way better.
Because the comedy's better. Because
Yep.
he's supposed to be crazy.
Yep.
Even his wrestling, his brawling with Benoit last week was like the best thing he did. It was
Not only
awesome.
that, he's paired up with Crazy Flair. So we have Crazy Flair and
Yes.
Crazy Piper together.
Yes.
How do I not remember this vividly?
I don't know.
This is the best act on the show right now.
So Gene asks Flair about what are they going to do in New Orleans after the show's done, and Flair just, first of all, he just can't stop smiling. He's silent.
Yes.
He's collecting his thoughts. He's overwhelmed with all the poon he's going to get that night on Bourbon Street. And then he just says there's either I got a lot of grandkids in this crowd, or there's a lot of women who still want to ride Space Mountain. Acknowledging several times in this promo that he's very old. He said, at my age, I may just drop dead. But if I do, it'll be on top of a woman. That's virtually a quote.
That is exactly a quote.
Yeah.
He almost died on Buff's girlfriend last night.
He made fun of Buff for eating chicken breasts and Diet Coke.
Yep. He said Bagwell's girlfriend called his room last night, wanted to know why they call Rick Space Mountain, but Bagwell was just Buff. And he said, I showed her why I almost died on top of her last night.
Yes. So Buff came out to fight him. And Buff's fighting Piper and Flair and even Arn. It's 3-on-1. And there's a ref there. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And then Flair had the decency to go through the formality of making this a handicap match.
Yes.
So it's Flair and Piper versus Buff Bagwell. Fine. So here was where it really, really sunk in and hit me what a complete disaster this 1999 Buff Bagwell babyface turn was.
Hey, he was over for a while here in this match. I mean, it was good for like 5 minutes, but then it went another 30.
We went back because Buff is thought of, sad to say, Buff's legacy is the guy who killed the return of Nitro in one night in the match in Tacoma with Booker T.
Yes.
And we went back and started watching these Nitros in the beginning, and for a while, Buff was really, really, really good. Then he turned heel, had a whole new character, a little more comedy to it, but it was still very funny and entertaining. And then he hurt his neck. And we were trying to figure out why he didn't do the big babyface return then. And he came back and he was just Scott Steiner's flunky for a long time. And now he's back as a babyface full-time wrestler, and he's just not very good.
No, he's an acceptable babyface,
He's
but
competent.
Flair's in there. Hey, I'll tell you one thing, though. So Flair's in there, and Flair and Bagwell is great. Flair just gives him everything. The place is going nuts. Piper's not nearly as good. He's still giving Buff a lot. So finally they cut the guy off. They work on him for like an hour.
Yes.
So then, who should come down to make the save for Buff Bagwell but Dean Malenko?
Let me stop you for a second. Before Dean comes out, Buff was so immobile by the end of this. I legit thought he'd hurt his neck again. Turns out he was just blown up and couldn't go anymore. Like they were trying to grab him by the head and pick him up. He would just lay there. So Piper does the best sell of a low blow of all time. I made a gif of it. I'll post it in the thread. And Dean runs out for this tag. I would like to think that they were watching this backstage and they thought, Jesus, Buff sucks. Malenko, get out there and save this match. And so Dean goes out in street clothes to try and save the match. So here's Dean in the corner now to be Buff's partner. So they get the hot tag, Dean does. And
Worst hot tag of his career.
Dude.
He fucked everything up.
It wasn't just him. Guys, they were all in each other's way.
Well, sure, but I mean, this is the Dean Malenko that he's begging to have the torch passed.
Yeah.
He's begging to be in the main event.
Yeah.
He's begging to be a top guy.
Yeah.
Finally, he's in there with Ric fucking Flair
Yes.
and Roddy fucking Piper.
Yes.
And he fucks everything up.
All they had to do was a hot tag spot. Just whip, elbow, through a couple punches. That's all they had to do. They fucked up everything. This, by the way, lends credence to my theory this whole thing was an audible. Because you can't tell me that Dean Malenko, Ric Flair, and Roddy Piper could do this bad on just a hot tag unless there was some extenuating circumstances. So I think Buff hit a blockbuster, but I can't tell because the camera was zoomed in on Roddy Piper's hand deep inside his trunks. Eventually he pulled out a gimmick, Not that gimmick, Tony. He hit Buff with it.
I mean, we don't know. I never saw it. Maybe he has a detachable penis.
He hit Buff with the gimmick. Flair got the pin as Dean, who was now a legal participant, had Arn Anderson, who was not a legal participant, in the Cloverleaf.
Yes.
This was a total disaster by the end.
A total clusterfuck. Made everyone look stupid.
Yes.
Well, mostly the baby faces, actually.
Yeah. But this is no good. Ray Jr. and Conan versus Dallas Page and Bam Bam Bigalow. So, I don't know how many No Limit Soldiers there are, but it felt like, seriously, by the end of this segment, at least 20.
Well, did you notice there's a new No Limit Soldier in Brad Armstrong?
Somebody figured out, we need a No Limit Soldier who can actually do matches once in a while. And nothing...
Besides Swole?
Besides Swole. And nothing screams No Limit Soldier like the Armstrong brothers.
Hell yeah, dude. Brad Armstrong.
So Brad Armstrong is now a No Limit Soldier. They're get the heat on Ray.
Yeah, because Conan and Ray versus DDP and Canyon.
Mm-hmm. Theoretically.
Didn't we just see a Canyon singles match that went like 5 hours?
Well, you will note here, this actually started as Page and Bigelow.
Oh.
And then it became Bigelow and Canyon.
Wow.
And then it became Bigelow and Page and Canyon. Yeah. So it was a 3-on-2 match, just with one guy always on the floor. Meanwhile, there's a literal army of soldiers around ringside. None of them were doing a damn thing about this. Blatant cheating.
Yes. So I might add, by the way, that last week we talked about how Conan is so much better in a tag team. All he has to do is stand on the apron, make a hot tag. Well, some fucker this week decided, I'll show them. We're going to get heat on Conan.
Yeah.
They beat the shit out of Conan. He can barely move. He's lying there half dead. I mean, the only good thing was they gave the tag to Ray, and he made a good hot tag. But this, Vinny, now I will address this match-length DQ bullshit. It's one thing to do it. I don't want to say it's one thing to do once in a show. If you're going to do a shit DQ finish, this match should be maybe 5 minutes. You make me sit through a fucking 15-minute match with 2 heats. They got the heat twice.
Yeah.
I sit through that fucking match for 15 minutes and you give me, it's not even a good DQ. It's a bullshit. Dudes run in for the fucking DQ. That's 2 on this show. Mm-hmm. Okay, I hit my limit after the second one. The first one sucked. This one, lazy, bullshit, infuriating. It's not even like a creative DQ where, a no-limit soldier throws in a gimmick or something, somebody gets it, the other guy gets it, the ref sees it, whatever.
It's just a guy runs in and attacks.
Dudes run in. That's the best you could fucking come up with after 15 minutes. Fuck you. I hate this show. Hope this company dies.
So the Cowboys hit the ring for a brawl. Saturn and Benoit join in. More soldiers come out from the back. More of these no-limit soldiers. There have been Royal Rumbles with fewer men that were in the ring in this segment. And they were all going, hooty-hoo!
Fuck this hooty-hoo! I'm going to tell you something about hooty-hoo. There's actually, believe it or not, Vinny, there is a Wikipedia entry for hooty-hoo. Now, I was unaware of this, but hooty is spelled with a D.
Okay.
So it's not hoot, like an owl. It's hood.
Like a hoodie.
Like in the hood. Hooty-hoo.
Okay.
But they pronounce it hooty-hoo. So according to Wikipedia here, this music video was shot. Are you ready for this? The music video for Hooty-Hoo was shot in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Oh, hey, how about that?
The video starts off with Master P, Silk the Shocker, and C Murder in a military base in the future. Also in the video, there are numerous occasions when female dancers are dancing to a white background. Wikipedia for you. Although there appear to be a large number of dancers, there are actually only 2 thanks to the use of computer graphics.
Wow. The future.
Most of the TRU members are wearing Ricky Williams' jersey since he was still playing for the New Orleans Saints in 1999. In 1999, when the video was filmed. Mm-hmm. This Nitro was in New Orleans.
Yes.
I think that they filmed the fucking Hooty-Hoo video this week.
They may well have.
While they were there doing this fucking WCW bullshit, and that's why they're Hooty-Hooing everywhere. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, if they hadn't done that Hooty-Hoo, they might have got over better.
It couldn't have hurt. Yeah, it would have helped. And it's time for the main event.
I've got your bufferisms.
How about that? I only wrote down one, so you go ahead.
You wrote the whole thing?
No, I only wrote down one line.
See.
It was about what he said about Sting, but go ahead.
This is for Sid Vicious. Standing 6 feet 10 inches tall and weighing 312 1/4 pounds, he's one of the cornerstones of the madness known as Team Savage, led by the Macho Man, Randy Savage. He is without a doubt one of the best big men in the history of the sport. He is the master of the vicious powerbomb. He is known for the vicious destruction of his opponents. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Sid Vicious. And now to Sting. Wearing black and silver. I apologize. Let me start over again. I don't want to mess up Buffer's prose.
He'll probably sue you.
Yes. Wearing black with silver, weighing 249 1/2 pounds, and standing 6 feet 2. This is a man known to professional wrestling fans the world over for his reluctance to join any faction or organization within the sport. He is the enigmatic warrior who marches to his own drum. He is the master of the Scorpion Deathlock. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the man known as Sting. Was he not in the fucking Wolfpack? Am I imagining things?
Oh, he was for a long time.
He was in the Wolfpack.
Yes.
Get your facts right, Buffer.
I like, before Michael Buffer introduces Sid Vicious and Sting, he says, "It is time for the main event of Sid Vicious versus Sting."
Yeah.
Okay, your job's done now, Michael.
No.
You can go home.
He's got to tell you that Sid is 6 feet 10 inches tall and weighing 312 1/4 pounds. He had a 1/4 pounder before the fucking show. It's important we know those details. And you know another thing about Sid I noticed during this match? He's 312 pounds and 6'10", and do you know what his style would be in the UFC? He's a fucking striker.
Well, yeah.
What?
Sid is not known for his takedowns or submissions.
Well, he could be known for like his power moves, slams,
He's got
throws,
one power move.
lifts.
2. He does a power bomb. He does a choke slam.
Yeah, all he does is
Otherwise,
he kicks,
he kicks.
he boots,
He does clubbering forearms.
he clobbers.
He does technically do chokes, so they will not be allowed in the octagon.
No. He is a striker.
Yes. So after all that intro, all that build-up,
A shit match.
the whole show-long tease, they go like 3 minutes, and Randy Savage attacks with a DQ.
Bullshit. A
Dude.
fucking useless professional wrestling television
This is
show.
like a beautiful afternoon. We all could
Don't even get me started, Vinny. Don't even get me started.
I gotta get a way to like download these on a tablet so I can in fact watch these while on a walk. That'd make me happy.
Dude, you can watch them on a tablet whenever you want, geek. Just play it.
Yeah, I gotta have Wi-Fi too.
Do you have
I can't-
do you have like a phone?
I was talking about going to the park. I guess I could do it on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe I just do it on the
Or
phone.
you stream from your phone to the tablet using your phone's cellular.
I don't think mine's set up that way.
I'm pretty sure it'll work.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I guess you have to set it up that way.
So Lex runs out with a chair to stand by Sting's side, and I swear to God, nothing happens for 3 minutes. They all look at each other. Someone eventually tells Savage, got a promo. Savage says he'll put Sting and Lou Guerrero to wrestling. Now Sid's got to get his promo in, and he starts talking. Suddenly they're up against the clock.
I kind of liked Sid's promo. It was really shitty. That's what I've been waiting for. His horrible promos.
Do you have my music ready?
Would you like me to hit your music?
That was a good time.
All right.
The finishes on this show were a double DQ when both men were attacked. One clean pin, and it was by Ming. Pin after a kick with an illegal shoe. A DQ after guys had wrestled for almost 20 minutes and then dudes ran in. Pin after a gimmick shot. DQ due to run-in. DQ due to run-in. And then a DQ due to run-in.
Fuck you, Nitro.
There are more DQs than pins or submissions on the show.
No wonder Bischoff wasn't on this show.
That show
he was
sucked.
He was hiding.
In shame.
It wasn't shame. If not, he should know better and he should be ashamed.